Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
What is up? Welcome to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. My name is Tom Dougherty, your host. As always, this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, as we're going to do some baseball talk today on a Friday, finish off our week with the recaps of the games, talk a little Cubs, trades, Cubs made a trade, and then also what's going on out in the NL East. Pretty much a two-team race out there now, with the Nationals kind of falling off out of thin air, off the cliff, I guess. But without further ado, let's cover the games from Wednesday and Thursday, as the Giants and Mariners finished up the two-game series in Seattle. The Mariners win 3-2. They scored a run in the bottom of the eighth to break the tie. It was 2-2. There was no home runs in this game. Actually, just Ryan Healy hit a solo shot. That was his 21st of the year, as Mike Leake was pretty good. He was 6 1/3 innings, 2 runs allowed, 4 hits with no walks, 2 strikeouts for Leake, as he pitched. And Derek Holland also was pretty good too for the Giants. He only gave up 1 earned run, 2 total on 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts in 6 innings of work. That 1 earned run was a homer. I think that, the unearned run, the Giants had a couple of errors that led to that run there. All right, in Tampa Bay, the Rays beat the Yankees 3-2, as they seemingly have their number. I think the Yankees, I know they got swept there a couple weeks ago in Tampa Bay. They just got 2 out of 3 taken from them by the Rays. So the Rays win 3-2, as they actually got all 3 of their runs in the bottom of the 6th inning. The bullpen for the Rays was obviously very good, as they were doing. That's what they did this game. They only have like 2 starters. That's right. They have like 2 starters on their team. It's pretty crazy. But Stanek started it off. He's the opener, and then he pitched an inning. Then Schultz came in and pitched 3 innings, and then the winning pitcher was Castillo, Diego Castillo for the Rays. He pitched 2 innings. And then that was about it. And then Alvarado, Romo, and Venters, an inning or so. Venters only got the 1 out, but he got the hold, and then the save was to Romo. So, interesting how that kind of works. Kevin Cash kind of mixing and matching and making it work. For the Rays, they got a home run from Kevin Kiermaier, just his 3rd of the year, as he has been battling injuries most of this season. CJ Cron hit his 20th of the season. The Yankees did not hit a home run in this game, as they had Luis Cessa go in today. They did get some help. We'll talk about the trade. They did make a trade as well. They got Happ from the Blue Jays, as they continue to. Why is these AL East general managers trying to help they're making the rich get richer? First, an AL East general manager trades Zach Britton within the division to the Yankees, and then the freaking GM for the Blue Jays trades his best starter to the Yankees in the division. I guess they don't really care. They're just trying to stick it to the Red Sox. I just don't understand some of these trades in division. It's kind of weird. But Cessa got the loss, but he still pitched pretty good. It's 5 1/3 innings pitched, 2 runs, 4 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts, just a homer allowed. But they didn't get any run support, obviously. This was a low-scoring affair. Rays win 3-2. In Flushing, where Citi Field is, actually it's Flushing, New York, is what it's called. The Mets win 6-4 over the Padres, as they got 4 runs in the 5th inning to really set the tone there. They got 2 more in the 6th, and that's all they really needed to get past San Diego in this one. Home runs for the Mets came from Jose Bautista, his 8th. For the Padres, Austin Hedges hit his 5th, and Freddie Galvis hit his 5th as well. As Clayton Richard got beat up over. He lasted 5 innings, but gave up 6 runs on 5 hits, 2 walks, a strikeout, a homer. For the Mets, they had the young starter Oswalt. It was Corey Oswalt for them, as he went 5 innings, 2 runs allowed, 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a homer, and he got the win. In Philadelphia, the Phillies beat the Dodgers 7-3 to finish off that series as they got 5 runs in the bottom of the 5th inning to really blow that one open and kind of decide it early, as they got a home run from Rhys Hoskins, his 18th of the season. That was in the first inning, an absolute bomb. And then Scott Kingery hit his 5th of the year. Both of those were off Walker Buehler, who was the starter for the Dodgers today, as he lasted 4 2/3 innings, gave up 5 runs on 5 hits. So he's finally starting to hit a little bit of the skids. Jake Arrieta got the win. He went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, 3 total, to just 2 earned, but 3 total on 5 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. He gave up a home run to Max Muncy, who, shocker, Max Muncy hit his 24th of the year on Wednesday. In Cincinnati, the Reds beat the Cardinals 7-3, as the Reds seemingly have the Cardinals' number this year. The Cardinals just can't seem to get past the Reds. I mean, their head-to-head matchup, I think the Reds, it must be like, I don't know how many games they play each other, but the Reds have at least 3 or 4 games up on them in that head-to-head. Not that it really matters. Both of them are kind of in the bottom half of that division. For the Cardinals, they got a home run from Paul DeJong, his 9th. Yadier Molina hit his 14th in that game. The Reds got a home run from Eugenio Suarez, who's very good. Adam Duvall hit his 15th, and Tucker Barnhart hit his 6th of the season for the Reds. They got a good start from Romano. He went 6 innings, 2 runs allowed, 7 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, just give up a home run. That's that young starter, Sal Romano, for the Reds, as the Cardinals had Jack Flaherty, and he gave up 3 runs over 5 innings of work. The Indians shut out the Pirates 4-0 as they snapped that 11-game winning streak that the Pittsburgh Pirates had gotten going. Trevor Bauer was excellent in this one. 7 shutout innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts for him, as the 2 guys that they got actually from the Padres were the other 2 pitchers. I think it's Adam Simber, or Andrew Simber. I think it's an A. I knew I had it mixed up last time. Adam Simber got 2 outs in the 8th, and then Brad Hand got a 4-out save with 3 strikeouts for his 25th save of the year. I'm not sure if it's his first with the Indians or second. I'm sure it's his first. Actually, it is his first with the Indians, because they haven't won a game since he came there. But he gets his situation and gets the save. All right. Actually, well, hold on. Do we have any home runs by the Indians in that game? Yonder Alonso hit his 16th. There you go. In Milwaukee, the Nationals beat the Brewers 7-3. Tanner Roark gets the win in this one over Freddie Peralta, as Roark went 8 shutout innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. The Brewers tried to come. I mean, it was 7-0. Solis gave up 3 runs in the top of the 9th inning, but it didn't really matter, as the Nationals had a pretty good hold on that one. Bryce Harper hit his 25th of the year, and Juan Soto hit his 11th of the season. The 3 runs all came at once in the 9th. Hernan Perez hit a 3-run homer, but in the loss. In Kansas City, the Tigers beat the Royals 8-4, as Matthew Boyd gets his 5th win of the season. Tigers scored 4 runs in the 4th inning to set the tone in that game, as they added on after that as well. The Tigers had a home run from Jose Iglesias, his 4th, as Matthew Boyd went 6 innings, 2 runs allowed, 7 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts in that one, as they beat Danny Duffy, who got beat up over about 4 2/3 innings of work there in Kansas City. 5 2/3 innings of work. The Cubs beat the Diamondbacks 2-1, as they got a run in the bottom of the 8th inning to take the lead there and break that tie. I think it was a RBI ground out by Jason Hayward right there to break that tie, make it 2-1, as the starters were very good. John Lester went 6 innings, 1 run allowed, 4 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Just a homer was the blemish, and that was an A.J. Pollock solo shot, his 13th of the season. For the Diamondbacks, they had Robbie Ray, who was both the starters ended up with no decisions, but he was also very good. 7 innings pitched, 1 run, 4 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts for him. In Toronto, the Twins beat the Blue Jays 12-6. They scored 6 runs in the top of the 11th inning to break a 6-6 tie. That's very interesting, as they win that one in 11, like I said, and the home runs came from actually no home runs for the Blue Jays. For the Twins, they got 1 from Garver, the young catcher for them. He actually had a really good day. He was 4 for 6 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs scored. I mean, that's a day right there. 4 for 6. Mitch Garver was just on fire. 5 RBIs, 4 hits. I think all 4 of his hits were run-scoring hits in that game. So, I mean, he had I think a double. I mean, he was a couple, just a triple shy, I think, of the cycle. As Irvin Santana was the starter, he did not get a win because this game obviously was decided later, but he went 5, allowed 3 runs on 7 hits, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. In Texas, the A's win again. And this time was, I mean, I understand, yeah, you're down 10 to 2 and going into the 7th inning. You have 3 innings to figure it out. Obviously, they did, tying it in the top of the 9th. But this was a situation where they're down 1 run with 1 runner on, and they're down to their last strike in the entire game. They're 1 more strike, the game's over. And Chris Davis is up, and honestly, that's who the A's want to have up at that point, because Chris Davis can do what he did on Wednesday and just flick one over the wall and hit it about 420 feet. That's exactly what he did in the in the top of the 9th inning. He had a 2-run homer to make it 6-5, and then of course the A's bullpen is lights out. They have Blake Trinan there at the back end of that bullpen, and he came in and got struck out the side to win that game in the bottom of the ninth. Well, to close out that game in the bottom half of the 9th inning, getting everybody on strikeouts. But yeah, that was I want to say the 27th home run for Chris Davis. He actually hit 2 in that game. He hit 1 because they were down 5-1, I want to say, and he had a 3-run shot to make it 5-4, and then of course the 2-run shot to make it 6-5. Taking the lead there. So he hit 2, his 26th and his 27th of the year for the Rangers. Robinson Chirinos hit his 13th of the season there. As they actually got a good start from Martin Perez. He went 6 innings, 1 run allowed, 7 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, but obviously a no decision. Corey Guerin, who that'll get you right there. Corey Guerin actually just came. I know that name because he pitched them. He was a Giants bullpen for the last year and a half, and he's probably my least favorite player in that bullpen. And now he got traded to the Rangers. Thank the Lord. And he's doing exactly what he did in San Francisco with the Rangers, giving up 3 runs on 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, a homer. That was the Chris Davis 3-run shot in one inning of work. So there you go. All right, in Colorado, the Rockies beat the Astros 3-2 as they got a good start. But, I mean, this game was actually decided late. They walked off on this one. Wade Davis gets the win, but they got a good start from John Gray, who went 7 innings, allowed 1 earned run, 2 total, on 1 hit, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts for Gray. So he was excellent. Only allowed 1 hit in the entire game. The Astros, no homers in this game, except for the 2 hit by the Rockies. Carlos Gonzalez hit his 12th, and Charlie Blackmon hit his 20th to win it in the bottom of the 9th inning, a walk-off shot for Blackmon there as they get the 3-2 victory. The Angels beat the White Sox as they get a good start from Tyler Skaggs in this one, as they've been still miring there. I mean, what's their record? At this point, they're under 500 actually now. Remember, the Angels are going to be great. They started so fast. They started so good. They're 13 games over 500. They're amazing. And they're right back where we started. It's just sad, unfortunately sad. That's kind of what happened to the Angels this year, as Mike Trout did hit 2 home runs in this game. His 27th and 28th. Albert Pujols added his 17th, and Shohei Ohtani actually hit one out, his 9th of the year for the Angels. I mean, if you're the Angels, do you just make him a hitter? He actually technically is more valuable to you as a pitcher because they have no pitching. They don't. Skaggs is all right, and Trevor and Garrett Richards is constantly injured, and that's about it. That's about it when it comes to starters for the Angels. I mean, if you can try and get Ohtani healthy, I just make him start only. I know his bats, maybe you can pinch hit him in a scenario where he can come up and hit a homer in the bottom of a 9th inning, or in a tie game late or something like that, or it's close game late. You use him as a pinch hitter, keep him loose, maybe get him a start here and there, but I'd really just focus on maybe trying to get him to start every 5 games, like a normal starter, because they need him. He's got some nasty pitches, he's got some dirty stuff, he got some great life on his fastball, obviously, but I think he is more valuable to them as a pitcher because he could really set the tone for a game. And I mean, you have Mike Trout hitting 2 home runs. It doesn't really matter if he hits another one. They won 11-3, but they need to win a lot more often than they do. 11-3 is great, but you got to win more often for the Angels. So I mean, that one, the Skaggs to give his line went 6 innings, allowed 1 run, 1 earned run, 2 total on 4 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. I think I did give you that line as he gets the win. James Shields only lasted 4 innings as he gave 6 runs on 7 hits in that time. Home runs for the White Sox came from Matt Davidson, his 15th. All right, that'll wrap it up for the segment as we did finish off the games from Wednesday. We'll do Thursday on the other side of the break. The Red Sox and Orioles were postponed, by the way, on Wednesday due to the inclement weather in Baltimore. All right, we'll come back after the break. Stay tuned.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to GSMC Baseball Podcast on a Friday today here, as we're going to go over the games from yesterday, from Thursday, as the Giants and the Brewers opened up a series in San Francisco. It actually got really interesting. It was I think it was a 4-2 game in the bottom of the 8th. The Giants made it 4-3. Just trying to count the runs here. Yeah, Giants made it 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th. And then the Brewers actually scored 3 runs in the top half of the 9th inning to make it 7-3. Giants added 2 more in the bottom half of the 9th, but that was all they could get, as Corey Knebel was able to close it down for the save. Giants got another good start from Derek Rodriguez. He gets a no decision because the game was actually tied before Melanson gave it up in the 8th. As Rodriguez went 6 innings, 2 runs allowed, 5 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a homer allowed, and that was to Christian Yelich. His that's his 14th of the season. Travis Shaw added his 19th. Giants didn't have a homer, shocking. But no, Derek Rodriguez. I mean, I would say if there wasn't a Ronald Acuna, or I mean, is Jesus Aguilar considered a rookie? I'm trying to think of other rookies out there who could be in contention for the National League Rookie of the Year. I mean, you got to consider Derek Rodriguez. Now he's no decision. But he's 5-1 with a 2.75 ERA. I think how many starts does he have? Like 9 or 10? 11? But no, I think he has games. He started 10 of them, I want to say, because I think his first appearance in the majors was a relief appearance. So I think, he has 9 starts. 9 starts. He's 5-1 with a 2.75. I mean, that's nice. And then he's pitched against some tough lineups too. So you got to give him some credit. As that's a nice little. I mean, I'm assuming he's going to be around for quite a while. This is a guy who grew up in a major league clubhouse. He's the son of a Hall of Famer. I mean, if you think of the last name, Pudge Rodriguez as his dad. So he was obviously on hand for a lot of his games. I think he came to the one in San Francisco a couple weeks ago. So I'm very impressed with D-Rod, as they call him in San Francisco, in his performance this season. All right, the Cubs walk off on the D-backs as they scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. David Bodie tied it up, and then they walked it off with a home run by Anthony Rizzo. So that's a pretty cool little comeback right there, getting 2 home runs in the bottom of the 9th inning to win a game. Bodie, that was his 2nd of the year. Rizzo, his 13th of the season. D-backs got a home run from Alex Avila, his 5th, and Nick Ahmed, his 13th. I mean, as both starters were quite underwhelming in this game. Angels actually they scored 12 runs, and they scored 11 runs, and they scored 12 runs. That's pretty. I mean, that's a good sign, at least, as they win 12-8. I mean, Nick Tropiano actually was pretty good. All the runs for the White Sox were scored late in that game. They scored 3 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th, and 2 in the 9th. The White Sox did. It actually was a pretty close game. It was until the Angels scored 3 in the bottom of the 5th to make it 6-2. And then they kind of came back. Actually, it was 6-5, top 7, and then the Angels scored 3 more in the bottom of the 7th to extend it back out. As Cole Calhoun got his 11th homer of the year, Kinsler hit his 13th, and Arcia his 1st of the season with the Angels. White Sox got a home run from Jose Abreu. Actually, they got 2, his 15th and his 16th of the year. Palka also hit 2, his 13th and 14th of the season. And Avisail Garcia hit his 11th. And Delmonico, his second of the season. So Tropiano, he must have got roughed up all in one inning because he gave up 5 home runs in this game, and all 5 runs. So I mean, he gave up, it was 6 1/3 innings pitched, 5 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, 5 home runs. Literally, all the runs he gave up 5 hits, and they all were solo home runs. That's crazy. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that before. The guy gave up 5 hits, and every single one of them was a solo homer. And he got a win. Did he get the win? He got a win. He got a win. He gave up 5. I mean, that's not. He made 5 mistakes, and they hit him over the fence. He didn't get beat around the bush. Or beat around the park. Doubles, triples, singles, line drives everywhere. He got 5 fly balls that went over the fence, and I've never seen that before. That's kind of crazy. You have a guy give up 5 hits, and wow, I'm bewildered. Now, moving right along here, and past my bewilderment of that interesting occurrence yesterday in Los Angeles. The Yankees played the Royals at home at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. They won 7-2 as they got a big inning in the 4th. They scored 4 runs to kind of set the tone in that game, as they got a good start from Sonny Gray. He went 5 shutout innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. That's the one thing that's the redeeming quality of the Yankees, is because their bullpen is good enough to where, especially now with Britton basically taking up, that's shortening the game. So it used to be, it was, I don't know what Dylan Betances is doing, but you have Chad Green, and you have obviously David Robertson, and is that now Britton, and then you have obviously Chapman on the back end. So that's 4 innings of work right there, and some of those guys can go 2. So 5 innings for Sonny Gray is not that bad at all, because they have the bullpen to finish off those the last 4 innings of work. All right, home runs came from Didi Gregorius, his 18th of the season for the Yankees. Salvador Perez hit his 16th of the year for the Royals in this one. As we'll move along to Pittsburgh, the Pirates and the Mets got a series started on Thursday. Mets win 12-6 as they got 3 runs in the 4th and 3 more in the 7th. Single runs in the 2nd, 3rd, 8th, and 9th. They scored in the 1st as well. So pretty much everything but the 5th and the 6th, the Mets were able to put a run across, at least one, against the Pirates pitching staff there. Home runs in this one came from David Freese, his 6th of the year for the Pirates, and Josh Harrison, also his 6th of the year for the Pirates. Wilmer Flores hit his 9th, and Asdrubal Cabrera his 18th of the year for New York. As Steven Matz gets his 5th win of the year. He went 6 innings, allowed 4 runs on 3 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, and gave up a couple homers in this one. The Rays beat the Orioles 4-3 as Terry Yarbrough gets the win again, as he came in and pitched in relief after. Actually, it was the opener. The opener for this one was Hunter Wood. He went an inning and 2/3. In this one, gave up a hit and a walk and struck out 3 before Yarbrough came in and pitched the next 4 1/3 innings, and he got the win for the Rays. Home runs in this one were only from the Orioles. Jonathan Scope hit his 15th, Chris Davis his 11th, and this one is they drop it 4-3. Twins beat the Red Sox 2-1 as Kyle Gibson was very good in this one. Red Sox only got the 1 run in the 2nd inning, and that was about it. As he went 8 innings, allowed that 1 run on 4 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. So great start for the Twins right-hander. Who, is this? Do they want to keep him? Are they going to? Is that make you think trade piece right there? Kyle Gibson could help the team out. Maybe get some pieces back for him, or is that just kind of a flash in the pan 1 start against a good team? So don't want to get too excited. But it is encouraging seeing when a guy can go 8 innings, allowed 1 run against that lineup that the Red Sox put out there. It is danger town. I don't think there was a homer in this game. Nope. As Gibson gets the win. Brian Johnson also was pretty good as he wins 5 2/3 innings of shutout ball, 4 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. As Minnesota actually was trailing in this game for much of the time before they tied it in the 7th and took the lead in the 8th on a Mitch Garver double to take the lead. Phillies and Reds played in Cincinnati as they got a series started. Phillies win 9-4 as they scored 3 in the 1st, 3 in the 2nd, and they scored single runs in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th to make it 9 runs. That's interesting too. It's a cool looking box score right there. for the Reds, as Tyler Mahle actually only lasted an inning. Did he come out for an injury? He went allowed 3 runs on 6 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, 2 homers allowed. Those were to Rhys Hoskins. Actually hit 2, his 19th and his 20th. One of them was off Mahle. The other one off Mahle was by Carlos Santana, his 16th. Nick Williams also hit 2 home runs, as the Phillies had a home run derby a little bit in Cincinnati, as Nick Williams hit his 13th and 14th. And then Maikel Franco, not to be left out, hit his 16th and his 17th home run of the year there in Cincinnati. Wow, as they really laid it to him, as the Phillies actually had that the young left-hander Ranger Suarez make his major league debut, and he got a win. So good for that kid, as he went 5 innings, allowed 4 runs on 6 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, a couple homers allowed. That was to Suarez, who just is on fire right now. His 23rd, and Tucker Barnhart again hit his 7th. I mean, the Reds lineup is not a slouch either. So to get a win, go 5 innings and battle your way through 5 innings of work is against a tough lineup. I mean, I know the Reds are kind of out of it, but you still got Joey Votto, you still got Suarez, who's on fire, you got Duvall, who's very good, got power, all-star, and shooter Jeanette. I mean, honestly, the Reds had 3 guys on the field in the All-Star game one time. They had Jeanette, who was a big part of that game. Suarez was part of that game. Joey Votto, unfortunately, was a negative part of that game. And then also he had a homer as well. But I mean, he catches that pop up right there. We might have a different conversation about that All-Star game, but it is what it is. He would have probably had Scooter Jeanette walking it off in the bottom of the 9th inning. But like I said, it is what it is. That'll wrap it up with that game. So moving right along, the Nationals beat the Marlins 10-3 in Miami, as the Nationals got 2 in the 4th, and they tied it in the 6th with a run to make it 3-3 before extending it out 3 in the 7th, and then 4 more in the 9th inning to make it 10-3. You gotta love those 9th inning runs, those extra runs, to make it really a big number at the end there. The Marlins did not get a homer, but the Nationals had one from Trey Turner, his 13th, and Juan Soto hit his 12th of the year there in Miami, as Tommy Malone got the start for the Nationals. He gets a no decision, but that's a name right there, as he resurfaces, goes 5 innings, lost 3 runs on 8 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts in his start. In Atlanta, the Braves and the Dodgers got a series started. The Dodgers win 8-2, as they scored in the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th innings to really put that together. It all started with a home run, or actually Chris Taylor, and then a home run. Actually, Manny Machado hit his first home run as a Yankee. I was trying to get to that point, but he hit his 25th of the season, his first as a Dodger, and he unloaded on that one. It was a bomb. His 25th. Acuna Jr. also hit his 9th of the season in the 8th inning. That was a bomb. Actually, more of like a missile, as there was a low line drive that got out of there in a hurry out in the deep part of left center field. But the Dodgers win. Rich Hill gets the win in this one, as he was very good. 7 shutout innings for Rich Hill, 3 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Excellent start. And then the A's win again. They sweep the Rangers in a 4-game series, 7-6. They did not have to come back on this one. They actually had the lead, I think, the entire time in this game. So it was a close game, as the Rangers trying to make it interesting, keeping it a 1-run game. But the A's were able to get the win. Bartolo Colon was the starter for the Rangers. He takes the loss. The A's had Trevor Cahill, as he went 5 innings, allowed 5 runs on 7 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. But he had the run support to be able to earn that win there in Texas, as the home runs came from Matt Chapman, his 12th of the year for the A's, and the Rangers actually didn't hit a home run. So that was about it. And that'll wrap it up. That was it for Thursday. We'll take this last minute of time here to give you the updates on who was traded actually in the last couple of days. We know Zach Britton is now with the Yankees, and then actually the Cubs were able just to finalize the deal yesterday with the Rangers to send Cole Hamels to Chicago, which is definitely necessary, because the Cubs need another left-handed pitcher. You can't. There's teams that need them. There's teams that don't have them. And the Phillies, they just had Ranger Suarez come pitch a game, and he's left-handed. And that's the only guy I think that's their only left-handed starter this whole season, because they've actually had a good rotation that's never really faulted this year. As for when it comes to injury and stuff like that. So they've had Arrieta and Nola and Pivetta, and Arrieta, Nola, Pivetta, and then Zach Eflin and Vince Velasquez, and they're all right-handed. And then obviously you have Suarez, who's a lefty, and maybe that'll help them more in the playoffs. But getting Cole Hamels over to Chicago is going to definitely shore up their rotation. There wasn't a Justin Verlander out there. There wasn't a big, huge name. Obviously, DeGrom was the one that we were trying to force it and talk about it to make it happen, but that's not going to happen. And that's about it. So actually, we're going to continue this talk on the other side of the break. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Baseball Podcast on a Friday with me, as we were going to talk on all this stuff on top of the board here. The Cubs, NL East, what's going on there. Cubs finally, like I said, they made the trade to get Cole Hamels. And, I mean, that's fine. Cole Hamels hasn't been awesome this year. That's what I was saying. There wasn't a guy who's just like, shoe in, put him in, Verlander style, he's going to just dominate. Even though actually Verlander was not pitching that well with the Tigers before he went over to the Astros, and then all of a sudden he's a Cy Young quality starter once again, which is pretty crazy. But I don't know, it's an interesting scenario where now the Cubs are going to have John Lester, Jose Quintana, and Hamels as left-handers. Then you have Montgomery and who's the other right? Oh, and then Kyle Hendricks as the right-handers. So I think Montgomery's left-handed, isn't he? Mike Montgomery? I'm trying to think of this right now. And so they're gonna have 4 left-handers and 1 right-hander, and then you got to pick who's gonna pitch in the playoffs. I think you're gonna see Montgomery and maybe Quintana, depending on who. Actually, that's really what's gonna happen. You have 2 months. You have August and September to show me. Well, me being Joe Madden. I think Hendricks is good, and so is Lester, because they're tested in the playoffs. And then basically you have the decision between Cole Hamels, who is very tested in the playoffs, has a lot of experience when he was with the Phillies, also with the Rangers when they traded for him as well. And then Quintana, who doesn't really have that much experience at all. So that's, I think, is going to be the tryout. Those 2 guys are going to, whoever is pitching better at the time when it's time for playoffs, then that's who's going to do it. Because the Cubs are pretty confident they're going to make the playoffs this year, as they have now leapfrogged over the Brewers and are still holding a 2.5 game lead in the NL Central. But I mean, like I said, there's a lot of time to go. They do have the wild card cushion, obviously, as well as Milwaukee is they're 2 games up themselves in the first wild card. So if they were to get back up on top of the NL Central, the Cubs would drop back into that first wild card spot. But you probably don't want that. I mean, you don't. If you're the Cubs, you want to win the division. Obviously, everybody wants to win the division. The Yankees want to win the division. They don't want to play a wild card. The only teams that are really playing for a wild card right now are the Mariners and the A's. I mean, unless you're one of those guys who's like, oh, it's still late July. We still got 2 more months to go. They're only 6 back. Anything can happen. I mean, the A's their A's are 6 back, and the Mariners are 5 back of the Astros, and I don't really see the Astros going in that much of a tank to be able to allow that to be. I mean, that'd be really a 6-game swing. The A's have to win 6 more games than the Astros, to tie them within a 2-month span. So it's going to be a tough task. But I mean, you have the wild card for a reason, and the Mariners and the A's. And I mean, I think they're one now. It's only 1 game separating the A's and the Mariners from that second wild card is obviously you're playing, probably like I said, you're probably playing for the right to play a one game playoff at Yankee Stadium. And if you're either the Mariners or the A's, you have confidence in your bullpen that you can do that and you can win a game in the wild card. The A's have some serious avenging to do when compared to their last wild card game appearance in 2014 against the Royals, where they had a major lead and then all of a sudden it went away. But their bullpen is definitely better this year. You got 3 guys who can go 2 innings, and they're also all closers. I mean, Lou Trevino would be a closer on a lot of teams. Juris Familia is a closer. Blake Trinan is their closer. So, I mean, and all those guys, they basically can shorten the game as much as they possibly want, whatever Bob Melvin really wants to do. The only problem is, in a one-game playoff like that, and you have all those pitchers going, one guy, all it takes is one guy to not be on his game and to leave one just over the middle of the plate to Aaron Judge or to Stanton or to Gregorius or to Gary Sanchez or to Greg Bird or whoever it is, Torres, and they hit it out, and that's it. So, I mean, the A's, they're going to have to focus on hitting Severino. I think the pitching is going to kind of figure itself out. Obviously, if it's not there, it's not there. If the Yankees just come out and ambush you and burn your doors down, then sure, you can hand it to them. They got the bats to do it. They'll take that game. But your best chance is to try and obviously get it to a close game and try and get to Luis Severino, maybe run the pitch count up a little bit, because the Yankees, their late relief is good, but their middle relief, it can be leaky. It can be very leaky, as any team. The middle relievers are not the high octane relievers. So I don't think you wouldn't probably mess around with those kind of guys. I don't know what Aaron Boone's. I think Aaron Boone's been coasting this whole season, and the fact that what are they? 5 games back of the Red Sox right now. And the loss to the Braves didn't really help them. 4.5 back to the Red Sox right now. So assuming they don't get to the top, they don't take them over. They have head-to-head games, so they can do it. But Aaron Boone, kind of on cruise control with this team, is going to get his managing abilities will be tested quite a lot in that wild card game. So I know we're way off. Tom, we're 2 weeks away. We're 2 months away from a wild card game. What are you talking about? Like, things can change. They can, but trends and baseball is hard because, and you'd have to get the Red Sox to just tank or just like I said, flip their way they're playing, and the Yankees have to play much better. And the only way you can do that, fortunately, in your division is head-to-head games. It's very easy to do that, to pick up some ground. But I mean, with the Red Sox have a 4.5 game lead, you play a 3-game series, you need a sweep. Basically, you need a sweep to make it okay. Now we're rolling a game and a half back. If you only take 2 out of 3, that's only a 1-game swing. You're 3.5 back. If they take 2 out of 3, they get 1 more game on you. So it's either 3, it's 1 or 3 basically, and you can do it however you want during those 3-game series. Obviously, you always would want to sweep. You always want to do that, but it's really hard to sweep teams like that. You saw when they played last time. The Yankees blew them out 1 game. The Red Sox blew them out the next game. The Yankees blew them out the next game. So it really matters whose starter is on, and whose has their rotation lined up their best to face that team. So I mean, the Yankees, if they the best chance when they play the Red Sox next time is to have Severino, Tanaka, and Sonny Gray, or Severino, Tanaka, and Sabathia, or something like that, lined up ready to go. And the Red Sox, they are going to counter with their guys. They're going to counter with Sale and Price and Porcello and more lefties, Eduardo Rodriguez. I mean, so they have lefties, lots of lefties too. So I mean, it's going to be a wild race. I mean, September is going to be awesome, honestly. August we'll get through. I think the dog days of August are long sometimes, and they're hot. September is when it gets down to the grindstone. You get the influx of players, and your rosters expand, so it's a little bit better, a little easier to get mix and match people and get guys days off and stuff like that. So, it's exciting. It's really exciting. The Cubs have made a move. The Yankees have made moves. The Red Sox have not done a big deal yet. But obviously, we had the Dodgers getting Machado last week, and the Indians got Brad Hand and Adam Simber from the Pirates last week as well. So, the Yankees, they have actual things. Yeah, they have J Happ now. So, I mean, what are you going to do? That's probably what you would do. You have J Happ now, so you probably would do Severino, Tanaka, and Happ, or put Happ in the middle to get a lefty. mixed in there as well. So that's not a bad idea. Going over to the NL East, like I said, I was going to talk about today. I did carve out. We have time. The NL East is going to be really interesting. I'm a proponent to count out. The Nationals are our 500 team. It's kind of like the Giants. They get up 4 games over, then they go back down, and they lose 2 and they win 2. It's just right back. You look at, you could do little snippets of the season, and you could see obviously the Nationals were good here, but then they were bad, and then they were good, and they even out. Everything comes even keel. Same thing over in the West with the Giants too, but the Nationals are in a tougher division. Giants are only 4.5 back in the East, or 5.5 back in the West right now. Unfortunately, there's 3 teams ahead of them. They're 3.5 back of third place. The Rockies are 2 back of the Dodgers, with the Diamondbacks 1.5. That's gonna be a wild finish. I mean, two of those teams aren't going to make it. Only 2. I bet you only 2 teams from the National League make it, because the other wild card is going to be probably from the Central or even the East. That's the problem. All of these second place teams are really good. The Diamondbacks are good. The Phillies are I think right now it's the Braves who are in second place in the East. Braves are in second place by 2.5 games now. So they're a good team though, and so are the Brewers. So you have a lot of good teams who are not in first place right now in the National League. In the West though, you have a little bit more wiggle room, I think, because the Rockies have been on a tear. They've been 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're not going to be able to sustain that at altitude for the rest of the season. It's just not going to happen, and their pitching probably won't hold up. John Gray finally starting to come around, but he's kind of been up and down. We'll wait for him to go back down. Just to be honest. And then Diamondbacks, they honestly might be the most complete team of this with the full rotation that they have, but still kind of underwhelming, and they always seem to teeter off a little bit. And then the Dodgers, obviously, we don't want to wish anything on anybody, of course, but they're a Clayton Kershaw back injury away, probably from fading away as well. So the NL West is the most wide open division in baseball. Wide open. I mean, you could have said the Central was it, but now that's kind of starting to shape up with the Brewers and the Cubs kind of making their way. I mean, the Pirates have won. They just lost their first game in 2 weeks, and they're still 8 back. So, I mean, they won 11 in a row, and they're still 8 back, with the Cardinals 9 back and the Reds 15.5 back. But, so it's rough life in some of these other divisions. But yeah, the Nationals at 7 back, they're 51-51. Just not wowing me at all. Their pitching's been underwhelming. They have starters screaming at each other. I mean, you still have Max Scherzer. I mean, I think Strasburg's days are numbered. Do you trade Steven Strasburg? When's his contract up? I need to look this up. I think his days are numbered in Washington. I think he's worn out his welcome. He was the darling. He was their first round pick. He was all this stuff. Then he gets hurt, and they have the innings limit on him and everything that happens. His days might be numbered in Washington D.C., especially seeing when he's going to be a free agent here. I'm trying to think. Starting to see here. He signed a 7-year, $175 million deal. Thanks, Scott Boras, of course. You got to thank him for that. So he's signed through 2023 on that team, and not doing diddly. He's getting injured. He's yelling at He's yelling at the guy who's actually better than him, better pitcher. So I mean, it's ridiculous right here. I mean, looking at with his this thing will actually show me what I want to see. I don't know why it's doing this, giving me silly things. He signed the 7-year, $175. So it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on in Washington D.C. and this money they're going to have to deal with. I mean, the thing is with pitching though, and he's still young. He can come back next year and be dominant, and they could be a good team. So I mean, whether they're going to keep Harper is a different story. So let's see. He's owed $15 million this year. So with all the bonuses and everything, $18 million, and then next year, $38 million for next year. That's when his they obviously spread it out differently. So next year is the most is the bulk year where they spread this out. and then 25 in 2020, 15, and then I don't know why it says $45 million in 2023. I mean, they could split it up however they want to maybe to get it, to help your salary cap. So I mean, not salary cap, but your payroll, and then they have the luxury tax in Major League Baseball, which is kind of acts as a salary cap these days. All right. That'll wrap it up for this segment. As we've talked about the AL East, we talked about everything, honestly, and the Yankees and Red Sox scenarios for the playoffs. And obviously, the stretch run is going to be awesome this year, as there's a lot up in the air, especially in the National League, and then even the American League is getting a little bit more interesting, as we do have two races to kind of watch in the American League with the fight for the second wild card, and then the Yankees and Red Sox. That's not dead yet. I would not call that out, but I'd say the Astros are good. The Indians are very good. They're not very good right as a team, but they're a very good position because of the division they play in, obviously. But yeah, as far as it goes, that's the American League. And in the National League, everything's up for grabs. Literally everything. Wild card. There's how many teams right now? I think there was 9 teams fighting for 5 spots. Is that what we decided on Wednesday? We were talking about it. So there's the 3 division winners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plus 9 is 6 plus 3 is 9. So 9 teams if you want to count the division leaders, and then the top 6 teams in the or teams that are at least 4. I mean, honestly, the Giants, Cardinals, and Nationals are all 4.5 back in the wild card. Pirates are 3.5 back. Rockies and Diamondbacks, Rockies are 1, and Diamondbacks are a half game back. So you have how many teams within 5 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams within 5 games. You have the 2 teams up there. That's 8 plus 3 more. You have 11 teams. 11 teams that are within. Well, either they're leading the division, or they're within 5 games of a wild card spot. 11 teams. That's it. The rest of it's the Reds, Mets, Diamondback. Reds, Mets, Marlins, and Padres, and that's it. That's the bottom half of your National League right there. Those 4 teams. Everybody else is. There's definitely a middle ground. I'd say that I'd actually really would compare the Giants, Nationals, and Cardinals all together. Honestly, it's kind of funny because those are your teams that were winning a lot of games back in the earlier in this decade. So. That's it. We'll come back after the break. I'm over my limit for this segment, so we'll come back after the break and do the games for the weekend. We have to cover the games for the weekend, so I'll give you the starting pitchers in just a moment, so stay tuned.
Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Baseball Podcast on a Friday today here, which means we are covering the games from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm going to give you guys, since this is going to be a shorter final segment here, I'm not going to go and give you every single person's status. Sometimes that gets a little boring, I could imagine, as I'll handpick some games for today. As in San Francisco, it'll be Madison Bumgarner against Chase Anderson out at 7. That's going to be tonight at AT&T Park. Bumgarner's 3-3 with a 3.19 ERA on the year, with Chase Anderson coming in at 7-6 or 6-7. Sorry, 6-7 with a 3.81 ERA on the season. Looking around here, as we're going to have a Chris Archer start in Baltimore. It'll be Archer versus Andrew Cashner. It'll be Archer's 3-4 with a 4.30 against Cashner, 2-9 with a 4.40. In Detroit, the Indians come to town as Carlos Carrasco will face Mike Fiers. Carrasco has been interesting. This tells you he's on a decently good team. You're 12-5 with a 4.03 ERA. Compared to Jacob deGrom. It's just crazy. Chris Sale's pitching in Boston, actually at home against the Twins today against Lance Lynn. He's Sale's 11-4 with a 2.13 ERAs. He's making a good bid for that AL Cy Young. A good little matchup in Atlanta. It'll be Clayton Kershaw, who's 3-5 with a 2.64 against the All-Star Mike Fultonavich, 7-6 with a 2.85 ERA. Max Scherzer will start today for the Nationals in Miami. He'll face the starter for the Marlins is, I'm going to get his Pedro. Is it Pedro Lopez? Going for him. Yeah, Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez going for the Miami Marlins. He's 2-1 with a 5.09 ERA. Max Scherzer's 13-5 with a 2.43 ERA on the season. Dallas Keuchel's going for the Astros in Houston against the Rangers. It'll be Battle of Texas. Giovanni Gallardo against Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel's 8-8 with a 3.53, and Gallardo's 4-1 with an interesting 7.13 ERA on the season. Looking around here, Zach Greinke's going to get a start. He's 11-5 with a 3.01. He'll face Luis Perdomo as the D-backs will go to San Diego for a series. Perdomo's 1-5 with a 6.99 ERA on the season. All right, moving over to Saturday, as this is another good day for pitching, as Jacob deGrom will be on the mound for the Mets in Pittsburgh as they'll face Trevor Williams. deGrom is 5-5. What was Carrasco? 12-4 or something like that with a 4 ERA. 12-5 with the 4 ERA. deGrom is 5-5 with a 1.71 ERA. 1.71, and he hasn't. I think he's missed maybe a start or two. He's pitched. He isn't not like he's not pitching that often. He's pitching. It's just crazy. Rick Porcello is going to start for the Red Sox in Boston against the Twins again. It'll be Jake Odorizzi for the Twins. He's 4-6 with a 4.37 ERA against Porcello, who's 12-4 with a 3.93. And in Houston, Justin Verlander is starting, but he doesn't know who he's actually going to start against. For the Rangers, have not announced a starter for tomorrow, as Verlander, though, is 10-5 with a 2.19 ERA on the season. Looking around, and for the Diamondbacks, it'll be Patrick Corbin against Tyson Ross as they get that series continuing out in San Diego. A 7-4, 3.13 ERA for Corbin. Ross is 6-8 with a 4.29 ERA. In LA, the Seattle Mariners and the Los Angeles Angels will get going as Saturday. They play today too, obviously, but it'll be Felix Hernandez against Jaime Badia. Hernandez has had an interesting season. He's 8-8 with a 5.14 ERA on the year against Badia, who's 5-7 with a 3.80 ERA on the season. In New York, it'll be Luis Severino going for the Yankees against Phil Meyer for the Royals. Phil Myers 0-1 with a 2.82 ERA against Severino. He's 14-3 with a 2.63 ERA on the season for the Yankees. Cubs and Cardinals going in Seattle in St. Louis. It'll be Jose Quintana against Miles Mikolas, as he is 10-3 with a 2.82 ERA. Mikolas has been very good against Quintana, who's 9-6 with a 3.87 ERA on the season. And then in San Francisco, it'll be Johnny Cueto going for the Giants tomorrow, as he's 3-1 with a 2.76 ERA against Ulysses Chassin, who's 9-3 with a 3.58 ERA for the Brewers. Been pretty good this year. Looking around, that's at it, and we'll go over to Sunday's games for you here. I'm going probably too fast. In the finale of the series in San Francisco, it'll be Junior Guerra against Andrew Suarez, who's 3-6 with a 3.99 ERA on the year. Guerra is 6-6 with a 3.13. In New York, it'll be Masahiro Tanaka against Smith for the. I'm going to get you his first name, Birch Smith, the pitcher for the. Will be the pitcher for the Kansas City Royals today. He's 1-1 with a 5.58 ERA. Tanaka's 8-2. With a 4.09 ERA on the season. In Boston, it'll be. Did the Red Sox make a deal for Nathan Eovaldi? They did. So the Red Sox made a deal for Nathan Eovaldi. They acquired him on Wednesday. I guess that kind of went under the radar. I don't know why didn't we saw all these deals. I'm like, okay, Nathan Eovaldi's going to the Red Sox. Another interdivision trade. The Rays had him. They traded him to a team in their division. I don't understand, but he's making his first start for the Red Sox today. Obviously, I think they've had some injury issues, so that's probably why they're shoring up their rotation a little bit here. In the playoffs, they'll be fine because they have Porcello, Sale, and Price, and that's all they need. But Eovaldi could be good in the bullpen, actually, too, for them when it comes to playoff time. But he's 3-4 with a 4.26 ERA for the Red Sox, as the Twins have not announced a starter for the game yet. Dylan Bundy will go for the Orioles on Sunday against probably an opener. We don't have a starter announced for the Rays yet, but Bundy is 6-9 with a 4.57 ERA on the year. Thought his name was tossed around a little bit on trades, but we'll see if that's going to happen. In Detroit, it'll be Corey Kluber against Jordan Zimmerman. Corey Kluber is 12-6 with a 2.88 ERA, 134 strikeouts against Zimmerman, who's 4-2 with a 3.97 ERA, 65 strikeouts. In Cincinnati, the Phillies and the Reds, it'll be Zach Eflin against Luis Castillo. Good little matchup there of very talented young arms. Eflin is 7-2 with a 3.41 ERA on the year against Castillo, 5-8 with a 5.30 ERA, as he's looking to right the ship a little bit for the Reds. In Miami, it'll be Jeremy Hellickson for the Nationals against Jose Urena for the Miami Marlins, as Urena is 2-8 with a 4.63 ERA, 93 strikeouts, as Hellickson is 4-1 with a 3.44 ERA. In Atlanta, Ross Stripling will face Sean Newcomb, a pair of good matchup of young arms there. In Atlanta, it'll be Stripling, who's 8-2 with a 2.43 ERA, against Newcomb, who's 9-5 with a 3.41 ERA on the season. In Pittsburgh, it'll be the Mets and the Pirates. It'll be Zach Wheeler against Joe Musgrove. Wheeler is 4-6 with a 4.33 ERA against Musgrove, 4-4 with a 3.90. In Houston, the Rangers and the Astros wrap up their series from Minute Maid Park. It'll be Mike Minor against Lance McCullers Jr. Minor is 6-6 with a 4.38 ERA on the year against McCullers, who's 10-5 with a 4.01 ERA on the season. In Chicago, the White Sox will throw out Carlos Rodon, the left-hander. He's 3-3 with a 3.38 ERA. The Blue Jays have not announced a starter yet for the game on Sunday. In Colorado, the A's and the Rockies wrap up their series as Frankie Montas will get the start against Jermaine Marquez for the Rockies. Montas is 5-2 with a 3.54 ERA on the year, as he looks to be as good as he was earlier in the year here. And then Marquez is 8-8 with a 5 ERA on the season. In LA, the Mariners and the Angels will be Marco Gonzalez against Felix Pena. If you're Mike Sosa, did you think Felix Pena was going to be in your rotation this year? He's 1-1 with a 3.34 ERA, 34 strikeouts against Gonzalez, who's 11-5 with a 3.38 ERA, 104 strikeouts. He's been excellent for the Mariners this season. In San Diego, it'll be Clay Buchholz against Joey Lucchesi. For the Padres, Lucchesi is 5-5 with a 3.34 ERA on the season. Buchholz 3-1 with a 2.38 ERA for the D-backs. And in the final game, the Sunday night game, of course, the underrated rivalry, actually. I kind of like this rivalry. It's a Midwest rivalry. We don't have very many of them, and it's a good one. It's the Cubs and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. It'll be Kyle Hendricks against John Gant, a pair of right-handers going on Sunday Night Baseball. Kyle Hendricks is 6-9 with a 4.05 ERA. He'll look to see he might be on the I don't know the hot seat is the right word to say, but on the waiver on the fence a little bit, or Joe Madden might be on the fence when it comes to Kyle Hendricks pitching in the playoffs this year. If the Cubs, assuming the Cubs are going to make it this season, as they are sitting in first place in their division. So 6-9, 4.05 ERA, 95 strikeouts for Hendricks against Gant, who's 3-3 with a 3.44 ERA, 46 strikeouts, as he did pitch against the Cubs last weekend, actually, and threw 5 shutout innings. So it's a good little note to have there if you are John Gant. All right, that was it for the games over the weekend. Just coming through it. We're coming at the end of July here. We're going to hit the dog days of August pretty soon. And the trade deadline is going to, we're not done yet with the trades. This is just the early stuff. We're going to be back on Monday, and we're going to do a big, I don't know if I'm going to even do, Monday I might X-nay this whole section here at the end of the show. with the preview for the games the next day, because we might need to do some serious trade deadline talk. Or if nothing really is buzzing around, everything kind of happens on Tuesday, which is the deadline day, then we'll cover it all on Wednesday for you guys. So obviously it depends on what's going to be happening and how busy it really gets and how many guys will be changing teams. So far, we'll give you the rundown really quick on trades so far. So we did say Nathan Eovaldi went from the Rays to the Red Sox. Jay Happ goes to the Yankees from the Blue Jays. Zach Britton goes from the Orioles to the Yankees. So all those AL East teams just feeding the top teams there, or at least trying to maybe feeding them, but also feed on their farm systems too. So you do get obviously something back in return. And then we also had Cole Hamels going to the Cubs from the Rangers. We talked about Brad Hand and Adam Simber going over to the Indians from the Padres, and then obviously the big one, Manny Machado going from the Orioles to the Dodgers. I think I'm forgetting one in there, but it's okay. So we'll come back on Monday. Everybody have a good weekend. Enjoy some baseball as we have some really good series going. Really good young arms. That Newcomb versus Stripling matchup is really cool. The Eflin versus I think who the Phillies playing. They're playing the Reds. The Eflin versus Luis Castillo should be a pretty good one as well. So make sure you tune in for that. That's on Sunday. So everybody have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.